Hello. So, if I had to describe people like me in the simplest way to someone really quick, I would say that it's about what home means to you and like just different interpretations of like what it can mean to people. So, the chapter starts out with Emily Bernard talking about her friend Ellie, and she's talking about how they both grew up in Nashville together, and how Ellie, I think, lives in St. Louis now, and how St. Louis is home to Ellie, like she calls it home. And then Emily Bernard starts talking about how she doesn't really call Vermont home, even though she's been there for like, I think 17 years is what she said. And then it goes to talking about her being in Vermont and her, I think outside of like, it was like a library or something, but she saw a poster about an event going on, and it's for like gatherings of Ethiopians, I think. And she was reading it. It's called Boogie, I think. And yeah, I was just talking about the event, and towards like the end of her talking about like attending the event, she's talking about like attending it because like people like me. So that's when she mentions the title of the book. And obviously I didn't know this until the end of the chapter, but she only talks about this at the beginning, and then towards the whole chapter it's about like different random stories, and then she ends the chapter with talking about attending the Ethiopian event, and yeah, and like how it went, and just like how John drove them there, and how John driving makes her feel safe. But yeah, so throughout the middle of the chapter though, she mentioned this part where she was talking about how her brother lives in New York, and she went to go visit him one time, and she was talking about how in the subway everyone was so close together but nobody was talking to each other. And she was talking about how like in the South, you passing by someone and not saying something meant something. So that's pretty interesting, and like I get what she's saying. But she talked about one incident where I guess someone forgot their sorry, my hand shook. Where someone forgot their like purse or something, so the lady asked one guy if she could grab it, and then another guy passed it to that guy, and that guy passed it to her, and she was talking about how like that's the most like human activity caring that she saw while she was like there, kind of thing. What else? I didn't highlight this time. I took some notes, but I don't have them with me. She also mentioned her friend Estelle, and how I think her son has actually experienced some like some situations with like the police, and I think it actually was either on the newspaper or on the news, and she was talking about how like them as a family, like they also are kind of iffy about calling Vermont home. I forgot who asked her, but they asked her, why do you live here, or how do you live here? And even though Emily is kind of like wishy-washy about calling Vermont her home, she like had pride, and she was trying to like show pride of like, oh, this is why I live here. And then she was like wanting to show her like pictures of her and her family to like prove that like, like they do have a happy life there, kind of thing. And then she talks about how for her it's like easy to call a bunch of places home. Like she was saying a hotel, like a tent, like I've called this home before, I've called that home before. So like it's really different to a lot of people. And then she ends up mentioning this guy Larry, which is like a role model to her, and like a role model at, for like I think why she moved to Vermont or stuff like that, or like encouraged her or stuff like that. But Larry was one of the first, I think the second like African American professor to move there. And they were just talking about how, well, she was talking about how they use him for like problems, like at the school, like if someone's having like a racial issue, they'll like have him mediate it, or like he obviously has his class, and like he's just a very well-known guy. But she ends up talking about how later, after he passed away, I don't know if that's when she found out, but his daughter found letters that people had sent to him, like hate, like racist stuff. And it was just crazy. Like, she mentioned it again and then talked about something else and then would mention it again, talking about how like she really couldn't forget about it. Like, she would be at the grocery store and like she just couldn't forget about it. And like, that honestly was just crazy to me. Like, that was so messed up, because like that crap happened in 2002. So like, that just like is so wild to me to think that that was even going on, and it's still going on, you know. But like, I mean, I'm only 22, so like in 2002 I was obviously really young, so like it's crazy that like a bunch of this stuff just goes over people's head. And I mean, it's wild. But yeah, I mean, it was a lot, and it was really interesting. And she ends up talking about how like home means, I don't know how she worded it, I forgot, no peace, or it's not peaceful, but like it doesn't have to be peaceful. But yeah. Thank you.